Today's show is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, the top-rated sportsbooking app in all of North America. Safe, secure, reliable. And we also understand the season is going on. In fact, we're in the heart of the beginning of it, at least in terms of NFL season. And we know there are a lot of teams and a lot of players that get you excited, that make you want to be, one with the organization. But we all don't get that opportunity. But we do get the opportunity to have a little fun on our own. And, for the people that are out there asking those questions, what do you mean? Well, I'm talking about prop bets. I'm talking about same game parlays and all those other things. But specifically, I got a promo code for you. Yeah. When you first make your bet of $5, you use the promo code Moats. You will receive $200 instantly in bonus bets. It's a great concept for you to help you doing your process of chasing a little bit of fun. All right. But more importantly, I can also understand where at times you might get lost in the sauce. Could even develop a gambling problem. For the people that live in New York, you see the number to text. But for everybody else, the digits to dial are 1-800-GAMBLER. I said 1-800-GAMBLER. We have got to talk about it. So, I guess before we get too nasty in here, y'all hit the like button one time for the culture. Don't forget to subscribe either if you are new to the channel, because it was bad, man. Bad. I mean, this is back-to-back weeks now, specifically when we're talking about defense, where we've allowed 100+ yard rusher. And it's not even like we talking, it's Derrick Henry. Oh, it's Saquon Barkley. No, it's Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker. It's just a little bit different, right? And I get it. They all pros, because if you make it to this level, man, without a doubt, you got to show respect. You got to acknowledge that these guys are all capable of, creating explosive plays and having success. But that kind of loses its legs when we are saying that this is against the highest paid defense in the NFL. I think when we talk, normal expectations or normal, hey, man, this is what you typically say or how you typically respond, that does get a little bit, I don't want to say lost in this, but it does get a little bit minimized in this because of how much those guys are getting paid and how much they account for in the salary cap, which we know that's a big part of why we have the expectations that we have when we specifically talk our defense. For our defense to look how it's looked these first two games, unacceptable, not good enough in any capacity. I mean, when you're talking about just the simple, what are the Steelers known for, right? Historically, defense, physicality, smashing the run, and we know they like to get after the passer. But in both of those capacities, we haven't seen either one of those taking place consistently. Now, I do feel like after I went back and watched the Seahawks game again, I do feel like we had a little bit more pressure in terms of rushing the passer than I initially felt. But I still didn't feel like it was the environment that should be reflected based on our compensation, right? When we talk about our D-line, we say, man, that's where even more of the money is specifically allocated. Front seven, but we know, man, TJ, Highsmith, Killer Cam, a lot of money there, right? We talk about draft picks, man. Herbig, that's a high-end resource or higher-end resource. Jack Sawyer and company, right? And we're seeing some positivity from those dudes. So I do like that. But it's still this feeling of it's not a hostile environment. We don't feel like whether it was Justin Fields last week or even Sam Darnold yesterday, we never felt like it was, hey, man, they are under duress. They can't throw the football in this environment. If they drop back, good luck, right? We never really felt like that. In fact, it was getting kind of weird, like, oh, shoot, he's dropping back. Oh, is this one of them long over routes? This one of them long crosses? Oh, shoot, it's a deep ball. No, he caught it. Like, it started to feel weird. I wasn't really a fan of that. I ain't like that. I don't know how y'all felt, but I ain't really like that feeling, right? So then we keep it going. And you look at the run game, and like I said, man, back-to-back weeks, 100+ yard rushers, that part is a little bit concerning just because when I look and I ask myself, okay, personnel, what can we turn to or who can we turn to? Everybody's response is Derek Carmen. But Derek Carmen is still not healthy. So my real question now is what does that look like when it returns? Because it's already a rookie, but is it this week or is it 2 weeks from now? But is it healthy when it gets back out there? Is it healthy, or am I looking at, or am I going to be looking at a compromised version of him? And we know that that probably isn't going to give us the results that we necessarily want. So I'm looking, I'm just like, where are my answers at, baby? Where are my answers at? So I didn't feel like this was more matchup related. I do feel like once again, though, this is the, I guess, the beauty in the nastiness of it. All the mistakes realistically are fixable. When you talk about these runs that are hitting, let's go down the list. You're not going to get a sack on a run play. All right, that's one of them. Second one, you need to have your eyes where they're supposed to be. Okay, so you can see what you're supposed to see. You don't want to see too much, but you also don't want to see nothing, right? You got to make sure that you're seeing the adequate things you're supposed to be seeing. Third thing, and the most important thing, gap discipline. Holy smokes, gap discipline. I'm watching it and you're just like, okay, you were in your gap this play. Now he's not in his gap. He's not in his gap. And now you're not in your gap. Oh, he's in his, now you're out. And it's like everybody's just alternating. And we're just looking and it's like, okay, versus, all right, that running back not as bad versus Sharpen. Oh, not as bad. Kenneth Walker is like, oh, gash. Another gash to the tune of, oh, it's 3rd and goal from the 19. And this was the one that really had me about to just turn the TV off. I wanted to turn the TV off. I ain't really like how I felt. I never really liked to want to have to turn the TV off feeling, but that 3rd and 19 or 3rd and goal from the 19 when they ran it there, I'm just like, bro, I'm cool. I just need a moment. I really needed a moment, man. But the frustrating thing is we know we're talented, right? Heck, even in the same game, I forgot who it was that brought up Patrick Queen. Shoot, I thought Patrick Queen, low-key, was putting together a heck of a game, man. Tackles for loss, flying around, looking energetic, enthused, passionate, good body language. But then we understand that he had some type of injury. I think it was the rib and a wrist. But it looked like as the game went on, especially late in the fourth, we started to see him kind of laboring a little bit. And that's the frustrating thing where you're like, man, you were looking nice. But we need to finish. Now, if it was a health part, I get it. We can't, we don't get to determine who's healthy and who's not. But when you're out there, you're out there. And that's the part that, like I said, was a little bit frustrating. Peyton Wilson, the other one, it's like, man, you saw them have flashes early on, but then you saw some stuff on that tape where you're like, bro, fullbacks should never have that type of success against Pittsburgh Steelers linebackers. Like, we got to bully fullbacks, man. You can't allow fullbacks to exist on that field, man. They giving up too much information. So if they're going to tell you where this thing is going, you got to make them pay for that, man. And unfortunately, yesterday, yeah, that was not the case. Yesterday, man, that fullback won a little bit too much of those point of attack blocks in the whole blocks. And you're like, whoa, baby, can't have that on the tape, man. Can't have that. So that's the part where it's like, okay, if we are going to have a little bit more of an athletic approach at linebacker, right? Smaller sideline to sideline guys, then the onus becomes more on D-line. Man, you guys have to win up front. You guys have to be fundamentally sound, gap discipline. And the one that has really bugged me the most these first 2 weeks is the pad level. They're playing way too high. Way too high. So we're looking at dudes that we know are big and strong, but they're not holding their ground. In fact, they're getting moved out their gaps, and some of them getting put on their backside, which is that can't be happening, man. That can't be happening. So to me, I look at it and I say, okay, what is the reasoning behind it? Part of me says the lack of no preseason, I do think impacted them because now you're getting this on the fly. Any of the things that you need to work through, whether we're saying it's communication, whether it's just getting your lungs conditioned to be playing in a real game, whether it's the coaching staff sideline to on-field communication to make sure we're all seeing it and all on the same page with it. Those are some of the things where you're just like, man, That is what you unfortunately lose by not playing everybody and planning for, the traditional amount of time in the preseason. But I get it. Health is what we do feel like is the most important part. So this is a part of that. This is the byproduct of it. So it's hard to have that patience, but at the same time, this is a part of that patience, right? Because we say, man, first 4 games, we're gonna learn. We're gonna learn a lot about who we are, and then from there, it's when you start making changes, right? All right, this guy just isn't cutting it, man. We need to pull him out the lineup. All right, this guy, he's doing a lot better, man. We need to increase his role. But after 2 games, you're still kind of up in the air, right? Because last week, certain parts of the team we looked really good, and other parts not so much. This week, we saw where some of that kind of flipped, but then we saw some things that still kind of stayed true. Now, the other part that I can't lose sight of, and obviously I said it with Patrick Queen, but this is also with just the defense as a whole, we got to get healthy. No Derek Harmon right now, right? He's still been out. We haven't seen him regular season just yet. Probably won't see him this weekend, right? Alex Highsmith. We said, man, he was first coming back from one injury, and now he just sustained a high ankle sprain, which is probably going to sideline him for another, 3 to 4 games realistically. Talked about Deshaun Elliott, right? Knee injury, man. We're going to be missing him for some time. Also, Joey Porter Jr., hamstring. We still trying to see when that's going to be able to work its way back, right? If and can it get back healthy sooner rather than later? And those are just 4 key contributors, 4 people that we kind of fancy them as starters or impact players for us on defense. So that part does have an effect, right? When we talk about next man up, yeah, we say next man up and it does matter, but there still is context because there's a reason why we drafted Derek Harmon in the first round. Some of the stuff that we are seeing in the interior part of our defense, we knew last year that we had some of these issues, and that's why you go in there and you draft a D lineman in the first round. Problem is, he just isn't healthy right now. So we know that, hey, until he gets back out there, this is kind of what we have to deal with, so to speak, in the kind of byproduct of that. The other injury that I kind of slipped my mind on, but now I actually thought of that as well. We say, man, Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson are our sideline to sideline guys. We say our thumper is Malik Harrison, right? He also got hurt in the game. So we're just looking at the amount of injuries that you are sustaining on defense at some of those critical positions. And yes, does that have an impact? Absolutely. Is it an excuse? Absolutely not. When you think about the compensation that those guys receive, but that part does have an impact. And even with that, it was still a moment in time where post Caleb Johnson, kickoff return situation, we still were in the mix. We still had it on the table. It was a 7-point game, right? We had just cut it down to 7 points after Boss hit the field goal. Everything's looking good. Everything is looking like, all right, we got a shot, man. Get us a stop. Let's get up out of here. They're ready to settle for the give up field goal, right? 3rd and goal from the 19. They were playing give up ball. Let's go ahead and run this ball, kick the field goal next play, and we allow a touchdown off of that, man. That's the thing that said it really just whatever slither of hope that there was remaining, whatever little ounce of, hey, man, we can't, if we just get this stop right here. The same way last week, man, it was like, yo, we don't need a ton of stops, but hey, when we needed it, Jalen Ramsey, the defense provided it. It was feeling like, all right, just give us that. And instead, we got the alternative. The 3rd goal for the 19 touchdown. And it was just like, man, that's the frustrating thing, man. That's the part that, like I said, you don't want that on your tape, man, because what do you think New England is going to be thinking now? Man, we could run the ball on these dudes, man, right? We could definitely run the ball on these dudes, and we don't got to get cute. Line up right in front of them, blow them off the ball, fullback if you want to, but they can't hit us. They can't hit like we hit, man. We're more physical. That's what they looking. That's what they saying. They also got questions about the deep ball. Man, 2 weeks now, dudes been kind of getting, ran away from. All right. We know that that's part of playing man-to-man, especially with some of those more shiftier, speedier guys. We know Cooper Kupp went healthy. He's one of them dudes, but specifically Jackson Smith and Jigba is a dude that, like I said, we talked about. We liked him a lot. We think that, he's a good player. Not anything crazy, but we think he's a dang good player, though, right? So it's like when you even seeing that, you're like, all right, I get it. But still, that. Nah, we ain't got time for that. So to me, that's kind of my energy with the defense right now. I'm still not, panic mode, pull the plug, but it's like, yo, after 2 games, that definitely has me a lot more alert. All right. I'm a lot more focused on them. I'm over here like, all right, now, baby, I ain't panicking, but bruh, can I get splash? We got the interception from Jalen Ramsey. That was good, but we know with Jalen Ramsey in terms of yesterday's performance, a little bit of a mixed bag, right? Has some really good plays, has some plays where you're like, dang. But to be, it's like, yeah, we want to see dominance, man, from that side of the ball. And that's the expectation. And I don't think that we're wrong. Any of us are wrong for having that expectation when you talk about the resources that have been allocated specifically to that side of the ball. So that's the part for me, man. We're early on. We will see about this defense, but yeah, slightly frustrated right now. Slightly frustrated with them dudes, man.